Today we're going to look at the 2000 Hummer H1 slantback. Now this slantback is a very rare find. It's one of 39 ever produced by AM General. But before we can start, we need to fuel up. You can see there's two tanks on one side for a total of about 40 gallons. Just going to put my credit card in there. It's going to need some extra fuel because you know these things don't get great fuel economy. They probably get about, I'm going to say they're about between 12 and 15 miles per gallon, depending on how much pedal you put in. This one in particular is on 40-inch tires, Toyos, with 20-inch rims. It has a rear step bumper. It has dual military antennas. It has a roof rack. It has a D-ring brush guard in the front. If you look underneath here, there's a 2-inch body lift and then a 2-inch spacer for the suspension, for a total of 4-inch body lift, or a 4-inch total lift with the 40-inch tires. Stock tires are 37-inch, so there's a little bit, it's about 5 or 6 inches higher than a regular H1. And how you can tell that this is an actual true slantback is the shell in the back is rounded, and when you open the hatch, it's like a wagon where it passes all the way through. There's imitation and similar looking slantbacks, but they have a partition in the middle, and that's how you can tell from a real slantback and from a fake slantback. As a real slantback, there's a wagon-like compartment from the front to the back, and a artificial or HMC4, the slantback shell, it has a wall that partitions the front from the back. So that's the main way to tell the difference. But it's pretty hard to tell if you're not a trained, if you don't know a trained eye, it's really hard to tell. Okay, so we'll put about 12 gallons in there. That'll give me about 120 miles. We'll put about 5 gallons in here, just to be safe. As you can see, these antennas are about 9 feet tall on top of about 4 feet. So we're looking about 13 feet if they're totally retracted. They're kind of cool looking. When you're off-roading, people can actually see you over hills and stuff. So, you know, it kind of helps prevent a little bit of miscommunication and accidents. Okay, here we go. Okay, seat belt, and as all diesels, or on the 6.5 turbo diesel, basically you have to wait for the glow plugs to warm up. It's a few seconds. You'll see the light in there. It says wait, turns off, give it some gas, turn the key, it's on. So there's a bunch of gauges here. You have a main auxiliary fuel switch right here. So right now the main has 3/4. You hit the auxiliary, it's a little less than 3/4. There's a fuel pressure gauge, oil pressure volts. There's a manifold pressure, trans oil temperatures. There's EGT gauges. So let's see how this rides. Now the slantback has more blind spots than a normal wagon or open top. It's kind of hard to see out the back window since it's so small. So that's one of the disadvantages. But one of the cool advantages, the best advantage, is no one else is going to have another truck like you. Now, safety-wise, you know, you are heavier and you are higher than most other SUVs. On a side impact, if I were to get T-boned, I would feel much safer in this vehicle. Most cars would probably just go underneath. This Hummer has rock rails, a rock rail protection system on each side, and it acts like an extra reinforced roll bar, if you want to say, if you call it. So unless I get hit by a semi truck or another Hummer, I think I'm pretty safe. And I'd rather be in this than any other SUV. But if I were to get on a head-on collision, or if I were to be rear-ended, you know, since this is an older military vehicle, I don't think the safety and crumple zones are engineered into this vehicle. So on a head-on collision, I think I'd be more comfortable in a newer SUV, because the newer SUV, they're meant to crumble and take the impact and have airbags. So as you can see, there's no airbags front or on the sides. And this is a 2000 model. And even the 2006s, which is the last year of the Hummer H1s, they still did not have airbags. So, you know, that's just something to consider. You think that a large vehicle like this would be really safe in the front end collision, but you know, given that there's no crumple zones to absorb some of the impact and the force, and there's no airbags, it's actually kind of dangerous because your head is still moving around inside, even though the body of the vehicle might not be as damaged as, say, a newer SUV, but they're designed to crumble to absorb the impact and act like a cushion, like a spring to absorb the impact. So that's something to consider when you're driving this thing. You're not totally invincible. You will cause a lot of damage, though. You will be able to drive, you know, through anything, almost anything. And ultimately, at the end, it's the driver, not the car, that makes the difference. So you could have a very skilled driver in a simple SUV able to outperform a novice driver on a beast like this. On the highway, we're going about, you know, I'd say 60 miles right now, so it's probably about 10% difference because of the bigger tires. So we're probably going about 65. And passing, this thing doesn't have that much power. It has about 200 horsepower. And basically, you know, we're stuck in the slow lane. When it comes to any sort of hill or slight incline, the temperature tends to rise pretty quickly. If you can look right now, the temperature is right below 200. On slight inclines, it'll go about 220. And you know, just got to watch the EGT temperature, make sure the engine doesn't overheat. That's the weakness about these 6.5 turbo diesels. In 2006, the Hummer H1 came out with the Alpha, and the Alpha has the Duramax motor, and coupled with the Allison transmission, which is essentially, you know, it's considered the best setup, best Hummer year to buy, but they're also 3 times as expensive as a regular H1. In 2000, they only made 39 of these slantbacks that made these things very, very collectible. On a regular 2000 open top or wagon with the same amount of miles would be probably 1/3 the price of a slantback. So having a slantback, having something rare, brings the value 2 to 3 times more to the value of your Hummer. And that's why I collect these. When you have something that's collectible, it's like buying gold or having nice wine. When it ages, increases in value. Well, not gold, I mean fine wine maybe. Anyways, so as you can see, you know, the road noise isn't too bad. The vibration isn't too bad. The only drawback is, you know, you're not in the fast lane. You're definitely in the slow lane. And I'm going to try to pass this guy here and see how it does. And the acceleration time is very, very slow. I'm floored right now. And we're at about 70 miles an hour. It shows 65, but given the 10% speed difference because of the bigger tires, it gets up there. But now I'm going to suffer from my fuel economy, because the faster I go, the higher RPM, I'm going to reduce my fuel economy from, you know, say 12 to 14 down to about 9 to 10 miles per gallon. So it all depends on how hard. If you live in an area where you have a flat highways and flat roads, you'll probably, you know, get decent fuel economy. But if you're in hilly areas, you know, like in the mountains, you're going to get terrible fuel economy. Right now it's about 63 degrees. I'm about sea level, and it's running great.